Hello. I have just posted a few new PowerPoints. So this one I'm going to just take you through is the little KeyNotes one, which is Bouncy Ball. I've already asked my little KeyNotes kids to make sure they bring a ball to the next lesson. I can't imagine there's a household that doesn't have a ball in it. But if you can make sure that you just warn them in advance, that might be useful and avoid any trauma if a child doesn't have one. So basically, Bouncy Ball, it's going to be all about kind of getting some movement in the wrist with this one. And I'll just take you through it. There's a lot of bouncing balls. Okay, so the idea is here, it's very visual. The piece is going to, I think before you start, you want them to go and find 1, 2, 3, 4 objects that they can place on different Cs. Now, if you are focusing on a different note for this lesson, you can very easily just edit, delete the C and put in a D or an E, whichever note you need, okay? So you want them to put an object like a pencil or a rubber, anything, obviously small, put one on each of the Cs, okay? And then that will make the whole of this piece easier for them because they're going to be jumping up octaves. Okay, so we're going to go bouncy ball on each one. Bouncy ball. No, I wouldn't expect them to sing it on each of them because they're obviously jumping up octaves. Okay, but you can just use that as the rhythm for the piece. So bouncy ball and getting some movement in their wrist. Okay. Obviously, if you're using a D, you'll use a different finger number, but just give them some direction on which finger number you want them to use and what you want them to achieve in terms of their hands. Okay, and then so once you've done bouncy ball, next C, bouncy ball, next C, bouncy ball, next C, bouncy ball, you'll notice if I just go back, you'll notice that the ones coming down we're actually just, so if I click once, by the way, everything else happens automatically. So just make sure you don't click again because the whole thing will just come up. And those ones are bouncing. So doing bouncy ball, going up. And then on the way down, they're just going to do one bounce, 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 and just kind of get that floating wrist, okay? So it's a bit of a technical exercise, really, this one. It's and also obviously being able to use a wider kind of pitch spectrum, a wider pitch range. What am I trying to say? Okay, so as I say, you can use any other note, just edit it. And I haven't taught this lesson yet, and I might have more advice after I've taught it. But I would basically just get them learning all together with mute on. You could, this one wouldn't sound so bad if they all played it together and there was a delay. It really wouldn't because they're all just playing Cs, hopefully. And it doesn't matter if they're kind of slightly behind each other. But you can also make sure that you're seeing each individual if you would like to, just to check their action. Okay, some of them might find that quite tricky, but I think the visuals of a ball is a really nice way to introduce this. Okay, so then we have our normal challenges that we've been doing in all of the other little KeyNotes lessons so far. The first one is going to take you to a song, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. It's quite a steady tempo, but it's very, lots of instruments and backing. And I would encourage them to roll their ball around, throw it, catch it, whatever their parents are going to let them do with it. Basically, we have balls thrown in our house because we have 2 boys that cannot do anything other than throw balls all the time. So I know that some households would not allow ball throwing, but you could get them to roll it in time with the music, anything that you like. I found in the teddy bear lesson it was amazing to get them moving at this point in the lesson. So they start the lesson sitting at the keyboard or piano, then they're getting up, and this is maybe about 10 minutes in, so it's quite a good time for them to get up and move around. Okay, move that out of the way. So that takes you to a Spotify clip, by the way, if you click on there. Now I'm going to go back and we're going to go to number 2. Number 2 is this. Don't click on anything. And while they're counting, you'll get all sorts of balls flying in. Okay. Obviously coming out of the air, which doesn't happen very often. Oh, maybe it does. Someone has kicked it from a very long distance. I think that's it. Let me just double check that, because I thought there had to be a click to start that, but it looks like that happened automatically, didn't it? So we'll go to number 2. I'm not clicking anything. No, you do need to click. There we go. So 1 click, leave everything else. It's helpful to know how the automations work, isn't it? Okay, and then number 3 is a little bit of a composition. We haven't done one in a little while, but this one is going to sound a bit crazy, let's be honest, but this one's going to be them bouncing their hands up the piano and down the piano. They'll likely press lots of keys, play lots of keys rather than just the one. You never know. And yeah, up and down, bouncing around, just get them to work on it, and then you can hear each one. No real rules there, just getting that nice hand action, talking about highs and lows. And then the last one, this is the one I felt like I really needed to explain. And I will just come back to you for this one. So this is get them to get their right hand. And you want them to kind of make a ball shape, holding a small ball. If they've got quite a big ball, don't get them to hold their ball, but a small ball. I'm getting them to get the feeling of this. And then we're going to get them, they could even pretend to throw their ball at another friend or at you, and you could pretend to catch it. And then you're going to get them thinking about making balls with their different finger numbers. Okay, so this is like a really good exercise for them to do. So let's do fingers 1 and 2, making a ball, and they can throw it at you or throw it at a friend. 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5. You get the picture. If you want to extend this, you could get them to interlock their balls and pull them apart. You could get them to make a ball with their whole hand and put them onto the piano. All sorts of the kind of finger exercises that you can do relating to the balls. And that's it. Was that all of them? Yes, I think it was. And then, of course, the obligatory applause. There's not many sound effects on this one. This is more about those balls bouncing around. Okay, and I think that is everything I needed to explain about the lesson. Okay, I'm going to come back on in just 1 minute to talk about the storytellers. So if you're on with me, just have a look for the next one.